What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with my MLB postseason bracket. 2024 season just wrapped up today, the regular season on Monday. So we're doing this one Monday night before it starts all tomorrow. And we got some good series for you here. We'll start in the top left. Tigers, Astros. Obviously, my Tigers made the postseason. In what they've done since August 11th till now, September 30th, is unheard of. No one saw that coming. And here they are making the playoffs because of that run. And they get Houston. AJ Hinch goes back to Houston, faces his former team in the playoffs. And right now, if you want to talk about which team is hot and which is not, it's the Tigers are hot and the Astros are kind of ho-hum cruising to the playoffs. They did enough to get in and beat the Mariners. I'm going with the Tigers here, and obviously they're going to play the Yankees because they're the sixth seed. So they're going to go on the road and play the Yankees in the next round. And that's because the Tigers are hot. They have a better staff of pitching staff right now because they can win games with a bullpen. Skubal's obviously out there, the ace, and him and Valdez are going to duel tomorrow. And I think the bats are a little hotter for the Tigers, but don't knock the Astros bats though. They always seem to wake up in the postseason, and I think that one might be the best series to watch in the wild card round. But we got the Royals and the O's, and I just think this one's going to be a 2-0 sweep. I think the O's are going to take care of business against the Royals. They got great pitching and Bobby Witt, but that's about it. And the O's kind of stumble into the postseason, but beating the Yankees last week, I think that's when I think they really turned it on. And this Orioles team has a lot to prove after last year's, I don't want to say disappointment, but it kind of was after where they were winning the East and just didn't get too far. But they're going to win this series against the Royals and really take care of business. But then you get the Mets and the Brewers on the NL side. I'm going with the Mets because I think the Mets much needed playoff win. If they can do it, why not this year to at least get a playoff series win? To go on the road into Milwaukee, and Milwaukee's known for their pitching in the postseason. The hitting just disappears, and I think that's just what's going to happen here because the Mets pitching staff has been great. The Brewers, you don't really hear much about the Brewers because the NL Central was very weak this year. They won the division, and they're also the 3 seed in the NL. I get they're a very good team, but they're very overlooked in the NL. And I think the Mets right now are hot because, winning today, getting into the playoffs, they're going to be coming off that, not partying or anything because they got to go play a playoff game. So I think they're going to take that momentum with them to Milwaukee. And then you got Atlanta and San Diego. And I think that's going to be probably the better side of the NL. That one's going 3 games regardless. And I'm going with the Padres here at home. And it's tough to pick against the Braves in the playoffs because of what they've done in their history the last few years. But I just think the Padres have a better team on paper. Maybe if Acuna was playing, I might be taking the Braves, but Acuna obviously he's done. So give me the Padres here as Tatis, and that team moves on to the divisional round. And then in the divisional round, we got the O's and the Guardians. Guardians obviously winning the AL Central, so they get one of the byes. It's going to be a big factor there. I think the Orioles pitching staff is just going to weaken out over the 5 games, and I think the series goes four. Cleveland wins the series 3-1, and they have sneaky power. I think Jose Ramirez is going to prove yet again that he is a very good player and should be a top 10, top 5 player talked about every single year, but he doesn't get enough love. And the Guardians are going to move on to the ALCS. And who are they going to face? Tigers, Yankees. I'm taking my Tigers because historically the Tigers have not owned the Yankees in the playoffs, but they always have their number, it feels like. And, the Yankees obviously have the highest expectations, and the Tigers have nothing to lose. They shouldn't even be here right now. So when you have a team with high expectations, expecting to get to the World Series or bust, versus a team that could care less, they're just happy to be there. More often than not, it's the team that's more happy to be there that prevails. And I say that because, these Tigers, obviously a little biased here, these Tigers are doing something that's unheard of right now. They're going to move on to the next round and face their their current division opponent in the AL Central, the Guardians. But we'll go to the NL side in the NLDS, Padres and Phillies. I'm going with the Phillies here, probably in five. I think this is going to be a very good series. Pitching matches up very well. The lineups match up very well. Don't be surprised if this one goes five, and it really could go either way. This was probably my hardest pick I've had to make in this whole bracket here. And I'm going with the Phillies just because the postseason experience and what they have done. And I think the Padres always stumble. The moment is at its biggest. At least in recent years, they have stumbled, and I think it continues here this year. And they need to maybe add something else, maybe a veteran bat that could propel them to the next level next year. But at this point, I'm going with the Phillies. And then that leaves us with the Mets and the Dodgers. And unfortunately, the Mets' luck runs out. I'm going with the Dodgers. Enough said. Shohei, what he did this year is insane. And that lineup and staff, this Dodgers team, what they've been doing since after injury after injury after injury, they just keep on winning games. And I think that trend continues here in the playoffs. I think they'll get the Mets in four, and that's where we stand. But we'll still go to the AL Central Championship. I'm going with my Tigers. I think the Tigers, if they're going to win this series, they're going to have to do it at home, and that means they're going to win in six. Because if they have to go to Game 7 on the road in Cleveland, I don't think they win that game, but I do think they win Game 6 in Detroit. And the Tigers, they're going to keep that magical run, and they're going to be last year's Diamondbacks. I think that there's a team that always is a wild card team that makes a run. And I think the Tigers are going to be that team this year. Who are they going to face? A great matchup in the Phillies and the Dodgers, but I got to go with the Dodgers. On paper, it just makes too much sense for the Dodgers not to make the playoffs here, or sorry, not to make the World Series here, because what they've done this year, Shohei, yet again, I got to mention Shohei. He is just a machine. And I think that series is going to go seven, which could help or hurt the Tigers depending on the times and the games. But I think the Dodgers are going to prevail in seven. So that leaves us with the World Series of the Tigers and the Dodgers. And my heart is telling me to take the Tigers, obviously, but I'm going to go with the Dodgers. And I just think it adds up. I'm going to say the Dodgers in five. The Tigers are going to have a good game, one or two. And then I think after that, the Dodgers are just going to show their strength and take care of the Tigers in five games. And I'm going to go with, let's go it's either going to be Shohei or I'm gonna say it's gonna be I don't know anyone other than Shohei would kind of be surprising to win World Series MVP if we're gonna be honest. But I'm gonna go with the Dodgers to win the World Series. But that's gonna be it for my postseason bracket. Let me know what you think and what you guys are thinking at this point and who you have winning. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.